have it again when you're looking to polish up your resumes.
Yes. You know what? Afterwards, I'll also send you some things that you can put up onto Blackboard so they can just have it. Okay.
All right. That'll be great.
Okay.
All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning, everybody. So what we're going to do today is we have Lori here from the Career Center who's going to go over resumes. And then when she's done, we're probably not going to meet all class time today. We're going to go over some housekeeping things, announcements that I have, and then maybe we'll go over some, review some questions and go from there. So I am going to pass this off to Lori.
All right, thank you. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Lori Miltenberger, and I am one of the assistant directors over at the Career Center. Been here, I think it's been 3 years since I've been at the Career Center. I kind of lose track because by profession and trade, I am a counselor. So I've worked in mental health my whole life and worked at the counseling center for, I don't know, 11-ish years and made a switch over to the Career Center. So now it's all a blur a little bit. So it's great to meet with all of you. So I am going to give you a few tips on resumes because I know that nursing resumes are a different beast. It's different than a lot of the things that you might see come out of the Career Center and our resume guides. Some of those things still absolutely apply to you, but I'm also going to provide you with like a template that you can use moving forward. You can change the font, you can restructure things how you see fit. But I think it does a really good job at highlighting all of your clinical experiences, because obviously as you are senior nursing students and you are about to embark on your careers, you know, a very easy to read format that highlights all of your clinical experiences in the time of your education and maybe other work experiences, and having those hours easily found by an employer is about the best thing for your resume right now. So that being said, your resume is going to look a lot different in a year, okay? Because you're no longer going to be a graduating nursing student, you're going to actually be a practicing professional. So it's going to look a little bit different. So I am going to attempt to share my screen. I've gotten okay at this now. Let me just pull up. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to kind of go through all of the resume guide that we have through the Career Center. I do want to highlight a couple things to you, though. I think it is best to put your resume on a Google Doc or a Word document. Please, please, please do not go out there into the world and do nursing student templates for resumes, okay? Because it's going to give you all sorts of text boxes and strange things. And while they look really nice, they are, trust me, a complete nuisance when you go back to edit it and update it. And you all are going to be touching and editing your resumes all the time. So you do not want to put it in a format that makes it hard for you to do that. So that's why I recommend a Google Doc or a Word document to kind of keep a master resume of everything that you do and keep it on there, whether it's 1 page, 2 pages, 5 pages, just have everything documented somewhere. Because the worst thing that can happen is like, oh, I forgot about an experience I had, and then you go to look for it and you can't find it anywhere and you're trying to recreate that experience. So keep it on a document. The other reason why it's best to do it this way is that there's a system called an applicant tracking system that many places use for resumes these days. And what it is basically a computer, and the employer programs it to look for certain keywords or for certain experiences. So it's not going initially through a human set of eyes. I'm not sure how common that is in the nursing profession. That's something I need to research, but it can. I mean, I'm imagining it also at major hospitals where they receive copious amounts of resumes, that this could be something that would be used. But these programs don't like text boxes. They don't like lots of colors. They don't like graphics. They don't like tables. Okay. So that's why this is formatted in a way that it's just a Word document. So it cannot mess with any type of applicant tracking system. Okay. So that's my other plea to you. Don't do it. Okay. It's going to work against you, and we don't want that to happen. We need this resume to get you to an interview. That's the goal of this document. Okay. So for most of you right now, you're going to have a resume, and it should be about 1 page in length. Some of you might at some point have a CV, a curriculum vitae. If you've done research, or that's the area of nursing that you want to move towards, or instruction, and that's kind of a different conversation. Okay, so we're going to focus a little on the resume right now, because I really do also believe that for most students that are getting ready to graduate, even if they have a CV, it's kind of it's a hybrid. It's like a resume CV together, and it can usually be fit on 1 page. So if you have something like that, like some research experience, and we can talk about that, you can also contact me, and we can talk about how to put that into your resume as well. Okay, so what we have here, I did this on Google Docs because I'm just going to share it, and so you can have at it. It'll be yours forever. But I moved it over from a Word document. So you're going to see that I have tried to maximize the white space on this, because there's a lot. I mean, this is a lot of clinical experience on here. So I have moved my margins out to 0.5. That's about as tight as you want to go, is 0.5. You can take it, you can do a 1-inch margin, but I think that most of you are going to need to have that 0.5 margin. I do not use a header. Okay, those mess with applicant tracking systems. Don't do it. Just put your name up there. And up at the top, it's just phone number and an email. If you would like to put your address on there, you may, but it is not necessary anymore. Sometimes I recommend putting the home address, or wherever you are. If you are really looking for a position in a specific city and you want to show them that you are already living within the area, you're not going to have to relocate, something like that. You might want to put an address in there, but it is absolutely not necessary. Some of you might have a LinkedIn account. If you do, you could put your LinkedIn URL, and you can personalize it to make it nice and short with your name, and you could add that up to that title bar. Okay, so make your name a little bit bigger. I try to stick with just traditional fonts, like Times New York, or Calibri, or something like that. Sometimes people like to get fancy and do like some kind of cursive-y type of font. Don't do that. It's going to mess with an ATS. And plus, there's people like me that are out there that have their reading glasses on, and anything that starts affecting my reading is going to make it harder for me. So try to just go with something that is very clear and very traditional. Okay. The goal is for somebody to get information from this resume quickly and easily. Don't make them search for it. Okay. So I would start with your education. Okay. And I believe that this is what it would look like for you, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So you could put BSN in parentheses after Bachelor of Science, but don't just do BSN. Okay, spell it all out, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. You can list your GPA. Normally, our rule of thumb is if it's a 3.0 or over, list it. If it isn't, don't. You can do it either way, but if you've got an outstanding GPA, and I'm imagining most of you probably are doing pretty well in that area as you are graduating from our program, put that on there. It's important. Okay, and then any honors that you may have received, it can go under the education section. So in this list, it's different deans lists that people made. Maybe there's specific things within your program. You can put all those honors right there in the education section, so it's seen. I move, and you could move this around, but I personally kind of like the certifications underneath the education, whatever those may be. Most of the nursing students that I work with have basic life support provider. And I think that kind of covers it, to let them know that you're certified, but you might have other certifications that you have gotten along the way. This is a great place to list those certifications. Okay. So moving from there, the next item that I would prioritize is your clinical experience, because this is the big one, right? I mean, this is what everybody's wanting to know, what you have completed, how many hours, where you were, okay? You do not have to get into the minutia of each of those clinical internship sites. Okay, you can list them. And the reason for that is most nursing recruiters that I've spoken to have said that, you know, a lot of the skills from these things are assumed. You know, you have to have had a med surg rotation, you had to have had a crit care rotation, or, you know, labor and delivery. Like, these things are standard to your program. Okay. So, and Kelly, please, if there's something that you find different, let me know, because I can always use more feedback as I'm trying to help.
I'll jump in if anything comes up, but so far.
Okay, good. So what I like to do is list the name of the hospital, the city that it was in, and then what unit it was. Okay, so I like bolding the name of the place and then italicizing the unit so that they don't just all run together. If I put all of that stuff in the same font, all bolded, then it's harder for me as a reader to pull out. Like, I can really easily see every hospital, and I can very easily see every rotation that was on there, just because of the way that the fonts have been created. Okay. And then over to the side, you state how many hours that you completed. For this particular person at this particular program, there's community clinicals that they do that are outside of their hospital. Put them in there. They should be in there. Okay. Any clinical experiences that you have had to document hours, this is where they need to live. Okay. And then put the hours. I also added in here, because this individual was a sophomore last year, and so a bunch of it moved virtual. Okay, so there's a notation that it, you know, that half was completed virtually, or you could say partially completed virtually. You don't have to get into the percentages of all that. It's understood people had to do virtual in that year. Okay, so don't stress about it. I think it's nice to note, though, but it's not going to negatively impact you. All right, so putting in those hours. Let's see what else. So you can do this a couple of different ways. So for this particular one, it was also kind of bulked by the fact that they were in the similar hospitals for different rotations. And so it's listed that way. You can do them in order. I think most importantly, they just need to be on there, but you can organize it the way you want. You could, now looking at this, maybe I would have taken this current rotation and moved that up to the top and did it in reverse chronological order. Now that I'm looking at this, that could have been, you know, maybe a better way to do it. So there's a few different ways. I'm not going to get too nitpicky on that, because I don't know that a recruiter is going to get that nitpicky on it. But depending on who at the Career Center is reviewing your resume, you might hear a different story. Yes, 10 people to look at your resume, you're going to get 10 different responses. Okay. Any questions at all about any of the clinical experience so far? Okay. If you want to put them in the chat, throw them up there. Okay.
Question.
That one's for you.
Yes, Taylor, I will show you guys when we're done here. There is a place in Blackboard where I posted 2 documents that tell you how many clinical hours each class had. So I'll show you that when we're done with this.
Good. It's kind of a pain. See, this is one of those examples of when you start collecting this data, you're like, I don't know what I did 2 years ago or how many hours. And, you know, so it's going to take a little bit of time right now, but once it's there, it's there. It's not going anywhere. Just save some backups, please, so you don't lose it. All right. Okay. So for this one, actually, this was a little tip that I got from a nursing student at Valpo a couple of years ago. And so she had a really nice little section for clinical skills. I don't believe at the time, maybe she was a senior yet. And so she had added this in here because she was looking for some different nurse internship programs, I believe, after her junior year. And so she had this great section of some of the clinical skills, some of the highlights, I guess, of things that she had learned along the way, and maybe some extra things that she had the opportunity to practice through her different volunteer and employment activities. So I really liked this. I thought it was nice. I cannot speak to you about any of your skills, but I'm sure, like, I thought this seemed to be a pretty good example of different things that they knew how to do. So useful section.
That looks like a nice little summary.
Okay. Yeah, she did a great job with that. And so I've used this with other people, and they've added things on there that they've done. So I just keep sticking them in the sample just to give you guys some words and into how they're saying them. So this is a nice piece. Okay. So following all of that, then you can maybe get into some employment. Okay. This particular resume even lists, you know, some other early on college experience. These could probably fall off for a senior, but there's still white space on here, so it exists, so it's okay. But maybe you have had some other summer experiences. Maybe some of you are CNAs, or you have done other experiences over the summer. This is the place to put that. Okay, so this starts looking a little bit more like a standard resume. Okay, so the name of where you worked, what unit it was on in your job title, and then putting your dates out there. The other thing I want to point out to you, if you look at this, like, see how nice these dates are all along the right-hand side of the paper. So if I'm looking through this resume, I'm seeing hours easy, I'm seeing dates easy. I'm not looking because it's buried under a few lines of text, so I can very quickly see where you are. Okay. And then, you know, for some of these things, and you bullet point, just a few. You don't have to have, like, 6 is too many. When we're bullet pointing our work experiences, we're trying to highlight, you know, the biggest responsibilities and pieces of our job. And always, you know, try and start with, we try to start with maybe the biggest thing. For this individual, the assisting the RN with patient daily care, taking vital signs. That's the bulk of this individual's job. Okay. And then helping to take people to step down units. Okay. But they also did learn how to do a 12 lead ECG. So we figured, well, let's put that on there, because that's kind of that was a skill that was learned from that job. So this is where you would put those. Okay. Like I said, there's some other unrelated work experience, but it's okay. It's okay to put that on there. I know for a lot of nursing students, they, you know, like, you know, particularly summers after freshman and sophomore year, there might not be a whole lot that you can do with the nursing unless you are a CNA. And frankly, maybe you figure, I'm going to have all these clinical hours coming up soon, and I'm going to be a nurse for the rest of my life. And maybe I just do want to teach swimming lessons this summer. And that was entirely okay. It's not affecting you, and it's okay to list that. Okay. It is at least showing somebody that you have been productive throughout your college years at school and in the summer. So it's up to you. And then there's an activity.
Lori, I have a question.
Yeah.
Some of our students do summer internships at, like, the end of their junior year. Maybe they would have gone somewhere and done an internship. Would they list that under employment, or?
That's a great question. And I should have thought about that.
I'm not sure if you guys know. I don't know if they're always paid, if they're paid positions. So then I guess it might be an employment. You could consider it an employment. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of them are paid. Most that I have seen, the S&I programs are paid. And I'm going to have to think on this one a little bit. And the reason why I feel like I want to think about it is because that's a pretty big deal. You know, an internship position after junior year is a big year, and I hate to see it buried down here.
Right.
I want to see it above clinical skills. What if you could change the title up here you could say clinical and nurse in an intern experience.
Mm.
And then you could, but then you're going to have the bullet points for it too.
Right. Could you just make it if you have it, just add it as a separate
Yeah,
category,
I think
nursing
that's a good idea.
internship?
Yeah.
And then that way, those who don't have that, don't have to, they can just use this as it is, and those that do can just add it, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would put that up here, maybe your clinical experience, and then student nurse intern experience, and then list the hospital. Again, hospital, city, state, the unit, because I think with nursing internship programs, you get assigned to a unit, right? With a preceptor.
Yeah, sometimes they get assigned to one unit. Sometimes they might rotate and do, it might be divided amongst a couple
Okay.
units. It depends on the internship.
Right. So what I would do, I'm scrolling down just to show you. So what I would do, like if it was all at Cleveland Clinic, blah, 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 I would just list the name of that hospital once, and then maybe do student nurse internship over to the side. And then underneath, like instead of clinical technician, maybe it says cardiac ICU, and then bullet point that out. And then if you had another round in labor and delivery, do the labor and delivery in the italics, and then do bullet points underneath it. Just keep it so you're not like, or Northwestern Memorial 6 times. Just put it once and then break it down. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to work on my sample because that's a great question. We need to have that in there. Okay. And then finally at the end, you know, any activities, okay? You could, if you wanted to, you could put this, I think a lot of people are members of the Nursing Association. You could put that up top if you wanted to as well. You can put those under education. It's up to you. But, you know, for this person, they've had some other undergraduate experiences. So maybe some of you are in fraternity and sorority life, and you are a member of that organization, have had a leadership position there, or a member of an athletic team, or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, you are still a student, and you should be listing some of your activities. Now, you're not going to have a lot of space on your resume because of all that clinical stuff. So just do your best. You don't have to bullet point every aspect of every activity you've done. It is okay to list your position. If you had like a larger position and want to figure out how to get that in there, we can do that. It's just kind of playing with the resume a little bit and changing fonts and moving things around to maximize space. But this one's just about, as you can see, filled up. But the first thing I would remove from this would be that. I'd make that go away so that I could find a little bit more space. Okay. But these, I'm sure that there are other activities, but these at least were kind of bigger things and things that this person wanted to highlight. This application actually very similar, went to a student nurse internship program. So they don't have that yet, but wanted to show, oh, I've been involved in things that also work with people. So
Lori, there's a question. I know you said you might do this on an individual, but we have quite a group of students who are part of a research team, and probably would want to include that on their resume. And so they're asking, like, where could they add that?
I would put it under clinical skills, and I would do undergraduate research. And just title it that way. I'll send you a sample of a different, so I'm going to send you this nursing one. And then I also have a sample that I've used with like the physician's assistant group. Your resumes can be very similar that way because of the research piece and presentations. So we might need to make kind of a little bit of a hybrid. So when you're reporting the undergraduate research, you want to obviously list the institution in which you have had it, as well as maybe cite the professor that you did the undergraduate research with and what it was for, and then kind of bullet point what specifically you did with that. Maybe it has maybe it even had a title. Maybe it was something that you researched and was presented at a conference. So let me send you a sample to show how to do that. Other ways we can find more space, like we do not need employment and clinical skills in all capital letters at, let's see, what font is that? at whatever size that is, we can make that smaller. And
Right.
that's going to also find more space for you.
Right.
Okay. But
All
I
right,
think it's
here's
okay.
a-
You could do research and presentation. You could combine that too. You could do, like, if you've done some presentations, do undergraduate research and presentations and then list them. Okay.
There's a couple other questions about, let's see, community service. If they've done community service activities, where would they include that? Where would they include that?
So was the community service through the nursing program or just other community service that you did because you're a good person and you're a student at Valpo? If it was, you don't have to answer that to me. It's probably a little bit of both. But if it was something through the nursing program, like maybe through your nursing program, one of the things that you could do that you're doing was administering COVID vaccines. I might put that up under clinical. It's ours. And it was through your nursing program, so it was sponsored, so you could do it there. If there's other community service that you've done that was outside of that, you could put it under activities. And you don't have to say activities. You could say leadership and volunteer experiences. You could say community service. So these section titles are a little generic. So always feel free when you're doing those titles to kind of morph it to what it is that you're describing. So you could do community service activities.
Someone else also asked, in the College of Nursing and Health Professions, when it's not COVID world, we have our 2-week study abroad trips where we go and learn about healthcare. And some of the trips, like the Costa Rica, Nicaragua trip, they actually work in the healthcare clinics. So they're wondering where or how could they put that into their resume?
Okay, so I've seen that. So I've seen it before. I need to dig up the resume where I've seen it. I've seen the study abroad put up here under education. So you would do the Valparaiso University, like, so in between here, okay, maybe another space in between. But they will say study abroad and then list the Costa Rica. There's, like, I think, a title for the program. And over to the right, like the summer or semester that they completed it in. And so I've seen it listed up there. I will find it and I'll have it to you by the end of the day. If you did research there, you could also put that experience under a research section. I don't know why you couldn't put it under clinical experience.
Yeah, it could probably go, in either places.
Right. So there's a couple different options for you to do. I've seen it down in I've seen, like, so if it's not activities and it's community service, leadership activities, I've also seen Costa Rica and the study abroad in that section as well.
Okay, couple other questions. Let's see. Oh, there's one about, because we have all of our clinical courses, they have simulation that they can complete, but we consider that is part of clinical.
It should be up there, absolutely.
So it would just be, and that's included in the hours for each clinical course. So I don't know that you have to pull that out separately.
Oh, okay. I don't think you need to.
Yeah, because it's part of the clinical hours.
Yeah,
so
no, I wouldn't do that. I don't think you have to do that because the point is you had X amount of hours in your med surge rotation.
Right.
I don't think you have to get into that.
And then there's another question, which I know when I, in the past, was working, you would always start your resume as a little like summary introduction paragraph. So someone's asking, should they provide a summary like seeking position, et cetera, or does that not need to be included anymore?
So that's entirely up to you. So I'm going to give you both sides of that. Now, if you are at a career fair and you are at a networking event and you're just, got a copy of your resumes and you're talking to people, yes, that might be nice to have that summary up there to say, graduating nursing student seeking full-time position and blah, 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 whatever it is you want to do, or undergraduate nursing students seeking a nurse internship program this summer. So if you're networking, you're putting that on the resume, right? Because as you're meeting with them, you're giving them a copy of your resume. And so now they've got your piece of paper, and they also know what you were looking for. Now, if you're applying for a job, I don't think it's necessary, because you're already attaching the resume to a specific job that you are applying to. So for me, when you've got all these other important things to get fit on that one piece of paper, that's not it. So that answers the question and provides another layer. But I think that if it's already coming in with an application, it's understood what you are applying to. And some places ask for a cover letter, some do not. It just depends in this world anymore. And if you are, I'll also send cover letter guide stuff, but in the first paragraph of a cover letter, it's, dear hiring manager, is really excited to learn about your posting for the RN position in the pediatric unit at Children's Lurie as posted on your website. So then they're knowing. I've even seen people put the job numbers many times in healthcare because there's so many postings. So you can so it would be in the cover letter anyway. So I don't know that you need to have it on the resume. Also, because I've seen this too before, I've also seen, like with nurse internship programs, I think Northwestern's was like this. When you apply to it, it's like you can attach your resume and recommendation letters, and it doesn't ask for a cover letter, but it has like a little box in which it said that, if there's any additional information that you would like to provide, if you have a box, then that's kind of where that cover letter thing comes in. Really excited about this position. Say something about the values of that hospital, right? That you've researched them and why you really want that position. If you've got a place to put it in there, use it.
All right, we have another new question.
Okay.
About should we include charting system experience if they are familiar with a certain format, such as like Epic, that is used in some hospitals?
Sure, you can put it in there. We could change skills, to clinical and administrative skills, and you could list it. Change the title and put it in there. Absolutely.
Sure.
It's good to put things in that you know how to do, right? I mean, because this resume is a brief snapshot to everything that you have learned over 4 years. Okay. And so if there's things that you can add, why not? Okay. But also focus on the skills that are imperative to the job position. Okay. So not being a nurse. So I don't read job descriptions probably quite the way that you all would. But as you're reading about what the responsibilities are of that job, okay, so we always tell students, tell anybody actually, that you're always writing the resume, also tweaking it to the job that you are applying to. We have these generic resumes or have a generic cover letter, but you should always really read what they're asking you to do. What are the words that they're using in terms of adjectives, how they describe, a person that works in that place, and what are the skills that they're asking you to do. And you need to go back through here and make sure that you have used those words in that resume. Okay, so that they're matching up. I'm sure that there's many similarities between units, but I'm also willing to bet that there's some differences whether you're in pediatric or heart care. So make sure that you're adding those skills to that position, if that makes sense.
And I had always heard that it's good. Is it really at this point good to keep your resume to 1 page if you can?
If you can, yes. However, as you get more experience, like I do not have a 1-page resume. I've been working too long. There's no way that I'm going to have a 1-page resume. So after a few years, like normally I see it more after about 5 years. However, that being said, you are also in the medical field. Okay. So, for me, so mine is a psychology background. So I never really had to deal with the resume because I could always get away with the CV. And just in your culture, just like mine, no one's going to be like, oh, wow, there are 2 pages, because if it's all good information. Okay. So if it starts to grow, it's going to grow, and it will grow with the more experiences that you have, and you shouldn't be removing them. Okay. So it's all right. But if I find, initially, I really try very hard for an initial graduate, if they say resume, to try and keep it at 1 page. Now you might, as you're applying to jobs, say, please attach resume or CV. Now, if you see the magic letter CV, now you can have as many pages as you want to. Okay. So I would encourage you that if you see CV, then heck yeah, move your spacing out, but don't like have it be like 1 page and a little tiny bit at the top. Kind of play with your margins so that you're filling the space so it looks complete.
Can you explain for them? Some of them might not know. What is the difference between a CV and a resume?
Okay, so a resume is a snapshot mostly into what your work experiences are. It kind of focuses a lot on the present, and a little snapshot, a listing of things that you have done in your past. A resume is always changing. It's always being edited. Things are being added, but things are also being removed. Okay. Like there are some things in my work experience that I wouldn't have on a resume anymore because I've had too many other work experiences that trump it. It's not really relevant anymore. A CV is a collection of your life's work. Okay. So it doesn't change. You're always just adding to it. I mean, I've seen CVs that are 100 pages long. I mean, they've done that much research, so when you talk about a CV, every piece of research that you have participated in is listed. Every publication is listed. Every presentation you might have given is listed. So even if it was a presentation from your undergraduate day, but you presented at a conference or you presented on something in a training, it stays there. It never leaves all the way, and then just collects all throughout your time. Okay. So that's why CV doesn't have a page limit, because it's literally a collection of your life's work in your profession. Right. And it looks very similar, lots of the same headings, right? It's going to have your employment history. It's going to have research. It's going to have presentations, publications, community service involvement. That's still in there. So it looks very much the same. It just builds.
All right, we have a question about adding their public health clinical. What would we put as the location, since their public health clinicals are not done at a specific facility? It's done more in the community setting. Ashley, is that right? Kind of all over the place. Yeah, so they have several different things they have to do outside, just in the community. So they wouldn't have an actual hospital facility or unit to list. So they're wondering, how would they list that under clinical experience?
I would probably say, even just say community. I would honestly maybe just put community public health, and then comma, various locations and the hours.
Okay.
And then if there's different, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Lori.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to ramble on.
So someone else was asking if it's possible for you to also send us a CV example.
Yes. So I will send you, I'm going to send you, I have the PA one. I'll tweak it, but I think that, okay. I don't think I probably have to, honestly. You guys are all intelligent people. It'll show you how to do the research and publication pieces.
Okay.
So I will send that to you today as well, so that you will have both formats.
All right, nice, thanks. And then someone else is asking, should we include certifications from other jobs? For example, if we are a nationally certified pharmacy technician.
Yes, you should absolutely put that up here. Okay. And I would think also, maybe if you've had a work experience working as a pharmacy tech, that would also be down here in the employment section.
Right. Yeah.
I think that would be a relevant work experience. all work experience is relevant, but as we're kind of trying to decide what I'm going to put on here, that would probably seem highly relevant, but I would put it under certifications. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I don't see any other questions at the moment.
Okay. A couple other things, and I have like a few more minutes left. That
You've got time.
okay. So, and if you all think of anything else with the resume, seriously, just email me. I can put it in the chat box, actually. I don't know where the chat box went. There it is.
Yeah, when you share the screen, it disappears.
It does. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my email. So just email me directly. And if I don't know the answer, we'll figure it out. Like I say, resumes are, they're personal, they're to you. So there's no one right way, but we can figure out how to get it all in there and how to note it. Okay. So don't stress too much. Like there's one way I have to make this nursing resume. There's not one way. There's multiple ways. This is just my way. Okay. But the best way that I can think to get your information out there clearly. The other thing that I just want to bring up really quickly is in terms of interview stuff, because you're going to be having those come up. And what I'm finding right now is most of them seem to be starting with like a recorded pre-interview, and maybe some of you have already experienced that. I know a lot of the nursing internship ones have been that way, where you apply and then they send you a link to do like an automated recording. And so it might be like 3 questions. It's usually around 3 questions. It's not more than that. And they ask it, and then you have 60 seconds to respond, and then you record it. Normally in those situations, they give you a few tries to do it, like 3 tries. So you answer it, you record it, you watch a recording back, you decide if you like it or not. And then you have 2 more tries. Strategically, really try to get it on your second. I don't really love waiting for the third, because if you waited for the third one's, there's nothing left. So kind of think about that a little bit with your first. It is a little bit of a pressure situation. That being said, you are all nursing students. So if there's a population of people in this world that can handle pressure, it's probably you, because it's part and parcel to what you do and what you're going to do. Okay, so you got it. It'll be fine. And they usually in those situations, it's not really complicated questions. It's like, tell me about yourself. Okay, don't tell them all about your dog or your cat or the pond behind your house. Tell them about you, where you are academically, what you're interested in. It doesn't have to be that deep. They'll probably ask you why you want to work for them. Why you want that position, why you want that particular hospital, that clinic, that whatever. So always have researched that and know why you want it. So those are kind of most of the questions in those situations. Then if you make it through that interview piece, and then they invite you for an interview, right now most of them again are still virtual right now, and a lot of times they're trying to interview people from all over the country, and so it's just easier to do it that way. And those will usually be live, so do a better job than I am in terms of looking at your camera. That just practice it, and I'm going to tell you where you can do some more practicing on this. But the method that I just want to point out is that it's called the STAR method or the CAR method. There's all sorts of, the name keeps changing. I like CAR because it's less letters. It's 3 letters, and I can remember that really easily. So whenever anybody's asking you a question, like tell me about a time in which you had to work on a team, and one of the team members, that it didn't work out or something like that, a behavioral based interview question. So the C stands for circumstance. So when I go to answer that, I need to set the story up. I need to provide a little background. Okay, so what was the team project? We were working in a team of 3. We were working in a team of 4. We had to come up with, an answer to this problem. And one of the members was not attending our group meetings and was not contributing. Okay, so set the story up. And then the A is action. What did you do about it? I have so many people that just talk about like what happened, the situation, that would be the S, but the circumstance, and then they don't really say anything else. I'm like, okay, well, that happened. What did you do? Okay, so always list then what did you do? And so maybe at that point, I decided to contact, my team member to see what was happening, if there was anything, wrong, or, what was going on. So I reached out to the person, and I learned after reaching out that they have 2 other jobs, that they're kind of struggling to pay for school right now. And they have to, they're working, and our team meetings were occurring during times in which they had to be at work. Okay, so now I've been able to show them that I took an action to understand the problem. I reached out, I communicated directly, I learned what they did. So my other action was that I said, okay, would it be better to meet, let's just say it was in person. Is it better to meet online, or is it better to schedule a phone call? And could you give me your work schedule so that we can find times? We did a doodle poll, and we found other times. And so it resulted in that person being able to contribute and be a part of our group process. So circumstance, action, result. That's how you need to answer your questions. It needs to be very complete that way. Okay. That's the best way to represent yourself. And with nursing interviews, you got to show that you know how to handle a situation. Okay. Or at least that you have a plan in place to figure out how to handle that situation. Okay. So show them your critical thinking skills, show them their problem solving skills. And when you leave those pieces out, you're not really demonstrating that very well in an interview. So just remember CAR, and you should be all right. So I just kind of wanted to point that out with the interview stuff. And then other, little pieces, just as, not having a noisy background behind you so that everybody's, everybody, we are all that way. We all look to see what's going on behind the person, but don't make it too much where they can't say, okay, I see some closet doors, a door behind her. But if they're still looking, that's not good. Okay, so try to keep it plain, make sure you're not, going to be disturbed, and practice to make sure that your system all works. I've had a student that was doing interviews for physical therapy school, and their link wasn't working. And she was attempting to get into this call, and she happened to be at the Career Center. It's like, and there was no phone number to call, and it was very stressful. But, in the end, she emailed. They were emailing her like, where are you? And then it wasn't her, it wasn't a user error, it was their error. And got the link back live, and went through the interview process. So sometimes that stuff happens. Technology is just technology, but just send your email, respond right away to let them know what's happening. Okay, I can't think of anything else on the interview thing except that. So next week, and I can send a link for that, we do have mock interviews going on. There are, I think, some healthcare providers that are going to be there. I know we have a recruiter from Cleveland Clinic that's doing mocks for us. She jumped on that, by the way. So that was exciting. I sent her an email to say, are you interested in providing some mock interviews for us? She responded back within the day. She's like, yes, absolutely. So that's really nice. So that speaks to your program and your faculty and all the hard work that you do. So we do have some healthcare providers on there. But even so, practice is always good. We also have on our website, I think it'll switch over. It should. Can we see my EDU? Okay. So if you go to the Career Center website, you will scroll down to the student section. Okay, so we have some resources on here. So I'm going to select this online student resource. Okay. Here's where our cover letter guide is. You can also look at the resume guide, but you're going to have the nursing sample that's more specialized. But here's the one I want to show you is Big Interview. Okay, so this is something just for Valpo students. It's a license that we had to purchase. So you have to register, just register with your Valpo EDU, and it will recognize you. Okay, and you can take practice virtual interviews here.
Nice. I did not know about this.
So, I'll talk with you about that, because I think we can get you like administrative we can do administrative, hopefully it just lets me in. Okay, this is how it looks for me, but I can make assignments. Okay, probably shouldn't show all that. I can make assignments, so you could go in and make a interview that would be for nurses. You can do custom sets of questions. Actually, you all can do that as well. You can go in and say, I want to do a practice interview that's nursing related. I believe nursing's on there, and it will kind of start asking you questions that are related to your profession.
Nice.
So it's automated, but it's good practice. Practice. You never know what someone's going to ask you. So
this is true.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything else, and I've just talked you guys' ears off for 50 minutes. You're gonna be tired of my voice.
No, for me, it went by. I thought that was a lot of good information. Does anybody have any other questions? Go ahead, and you can either come off mute and ask, or you can throw them in the chat box. This is your chance, because she's the expert, better than me.
Between the two of us.
I've written a lot of resumes, and I have a CV that is several pages long, but all right. A lot of thank yous, and it was very helpful. All
Good.
right.
Okay, so you all have my email, and even if you've forgotten it, just call the counseling center, call the career center, and you can speak with me. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lori. That was very helpful.
Great. Thanks for inviting me. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty. So, now how do I get back to my screen? Okay, there I am. All right. So there you have information about the resumes. So what I will do is, as she sends them to me, I will post them online in Blackboard, and I'll let you know when I have posted them. And so if you've already started working on your resume, that's great, because then as you finish your practicum experience, you're probably going to change it, because depending on where you do your practicum, you may have some more clinical skills to add to it. Because your practicum experience, you're going to do things. You're going to take care of the patients. It's going to be very different than your previous clinical experiences. So you'll probably be changing it as you go through your practicum. And like Lori said, just start one now, keep it as a Word document, keep it as a Google Doc or whatever, and keep it. And then you just keep adding to it as you move through your nursing career. And that way you don't have to think back and try to remember things. Okay. So a couple housekeeping things, a couple things we need to go over. One of the big ones is the ATI test next week. So classes are online now until the 14th, which is a week from Sunday, which means that our ATI test, which is on the 13th, and some of you are taking it on the 9th, we cannot meet in person for that test. So, and ATI does not allow us to use their proctor test without proctoring. So we are going to be using an online proctor system for the first ATI next week. It's called Proctorio. And what it is it is an automated program that watches you take your ATI test. So it's being proctored, but it's being proctored by ATI. It is not a live proctor. It is a computer program that has been created to recognize different movements or behaviors that might indicate that a test taker is cheating. With that being said, it is kind of weird at first to think about being watched. You just have to try to get that out of your head as you take the test. it is not going to flag you for normal things that happen. So if you're taking the test at home and let's say someone talks in another room, or your dog barks, or your young child comes in and wants to say something, it knows that life things happen, okay? That's not really what it's looking for. The other thing is it knows that, okay, so you used it before. So you guys are familiar with the Proctorio. So you used it for your management. Okay. I don't know yet if you're going to use Proctorio for the public health ATI, because the public health ATI is on the 18th, I believe, Professor Buckenmeyer told me. And so if,
Professor Megler,
yes,
sorry, I was saying that we take our exams with Proctorio for public health, like our regular exams we do.
okay, so have you already gone through the process of setting up, making sure your computers are compatible with Proctorio?
If everyone in here is in public health, then they have.
Okay, all right, well, then that's going to make it a little easier and more familiar. Awesome. All right, so what I still would like you to do is, because it's part of ATI, so for this Proctorio this way, it is going to be included in the ATI exam. So what I would like you to do, and I have posted it on Blackboard, is I would like you to do the dry run still. And you can, let me see if I can find it. So the dry run is embedded, where did my screen go? That's not what I wanted to share. All right, let me try this again. Okay, can you guys see my ATI screen?
Yes.
Okay, so all you have to do is go into your ATI test tab, and right here at the beginning, somewhere up here should be remote proctoring dry run. Just go in, at least, don't do this on the day of your ATI, because if something's not working, then you don't have time, and I don't want you to stress over having to call ATI. So do this at least the latest the day before you take the ATI test. And then you just click begin, and it's only like 5 minutes. And so it just shows you the process of the Proctorio with the ATI test, because it might just be slightly different. I'm not sure how the Proctorio looks with your other test. And so then it's going to ask you like 3 general questions. They don't have to be correct answers, just answer them. And so this will just make sure that you are okay with the ATI and Proctorio. Okay, does that make sense? Even though you're using it for public health, it's embedded in ATI. So I just want to make sure that you're okay with that. If you are not in public health and you're not using Proctorio and you haven't used it before, then I have posted 2 things on Blackboard in the ATI folder. You are going to have to make sure that your computer is compatible, and there's a couple things that you have to install for Proctorio, and then you have to do the dry run so that you are familiar with the process when you sit down to take the actual ATI test. Now, when you do the dry run, it does not have to be in the same place. It's not location sensitive. Okay, you can do the dry run wherever. It's just showing you the process. Okay, and then you can take the ATI wherever you're going to take the ATI. Taking the ATI online, when you take it in person, you're put into a room with other people where it's quiet, there's no distractions. This is going to be a 3-hour test or longer if you have testing accommodations. I will not be watching you because Proctorio is. I will be available if you have any technical issues. so I will post my cell phone. But it's important that you find somewhere to take the ATI test that is quiet and as distraction-free as possible, okay? Even though this test does not have any impact on your course grade, it's going to give you an idea of where you are with all of the material, and it's going to guide or dictate your remediation. So you want to have your focus on the test and not what's going on in the background, okay? It is a 3-hour test. You can take breaks. You can take up to 5 minutes total. So, and Proctorio knows that. I've used Proctorio before for the ATI test, and they know that I allow you to take those 5 minutes. So when you take a break, and it can be 1 minute here, 2 minutes here, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes all at one time. Just remember that you need to pause the clock, okay? So that you're not using that time up in your testing. And so you can get up, you can stretch. If you have to go to the bathroom, you can go to the bathroom, okay? I think those are all the questions, all the things I wanted to say about the test and Proctorio. And I'll send out a reminder announcement when we get a little closer, okay? Other things, next week, we do not have class in person because you're taking the ATI test on a different day, so we don't have class. I do want you to complete the practice comprehensive ATI test that I have posted in ATI. It is 180 questions, so it would be a good practice for you, okay? So find a spot from now until next Friday where you can take that test in the 3 hours, and it would be a good practice. Does it tell you how much time we, that's a good question, Alyssa. I'll have to find out if it lets you know how much time you have on your break. All right, I will try to find
Professor
that.
Mickler,
Yes,
I already took the practice exam and
Okay.
it does let you know how much time you have left on your break.
oh, all right, it does let you know how much break time you have left. Oh, thank you, awesome. All righty. Okay. Oh, okay. PALS experience. I just want to clarify that while classes are online this week and next week, if you have signed up for a 210 lab class for your PALS experience, you can't, that experience is no longer available because they're not having 210 lab class in person. However, they may be looking for students to help when they make up those skills in person. So I may have some further opportunities. If you are signed up to help with a 210 clinical this week or next week, clinicals are still occurring. They are not canceled. So then you do still get to do that PALS experience. Yes, when you do the comprehensive exam, you just submit your report with your score. There's no critical points. No, that would be too much for you to do ahead of time. So no critical points. Just your score. Okay. Good question. The March 18th, which we have to just wait and see what happens on the 13th, whether we go back in person or we stay online. If we stay online after March 13th, then those testing on March 18th, we'll use Proctorio and test at home. We just have to wait and see what the president does on the 13th, whether he extends the online format or not. Okay. I do have some exciting news. Class on, when we come back in person, class on March 24th, the Cleveland Clinic is coming to class. They contacted their nurse recruitment, contacted the Career Center, and they know about Valparaiso's nursing program. They know about our students, and they want to present information about their RN residency program for new graduates. And so they will be here in class on March 24th online because they're in Cleveland, and they will be presenting information about their residency program. So that's a pretty big deal because they contacted us. And so they are looking for you guys. So if there are any of you that are okay with relocating, then this might be your opportunity, okay, to find a position with the Cleveland Clinic. And a nurse resident, they're going to tell you about the nurse residency program. So it's a pretty detailed and formatted orientation process. And it's usually longer than just your typical orientation process, okay? And then on that day when they're done, I will go over practicum information because April 7th, you will be getting your practicum hours. And so you should start hearing from Professor Felton over the next several weeks about your practicums when she gets those arranged. All right, let's see. Do you guys have any questions? All right, do you guys have a test today in research or public health?
In research, we have an exam.
Oh, okay. So would you guys like to be done with class so that you can get some last minute studying in?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Wait, I got a question. If our PAL lab is right after classes get back to person, will the skill wearer helping stay the same? I think that it should, Kaylee, but I will let you know. I will stay in touch with the 210 professors and let you know if there are any changes to the class you are signed up for after we come back to in person. Oh yes, let me show you where the clinical hours are on Blackboard. Let me find Blackboard. Just a second. All right, share. Okay. Can you guys see my Blackboard screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go into learning modules, and then I believe it is here, NCLEX and licensure information folder. If you scroll down right here, clinical hours by course and topic. So there are two different documents. So just depending on how you want to list them, it will show you. I'll pull up one of them and see if I can, where to go. I don't know where it went. That's not what I want. All right, so, but it's there. So if you, now I lost you guys. Okay, there you are. All right. So if you just go in here, you can open up both of those documents and that gives you the number of clinical hours by course or topic. So either way that you want to list them, there you go. You can open up both those documents. And then I think that's it. I think, was that very helpful? I think that was good to have the Career Center go over your resumes so you can start thinking about them, putting them together. Hopefully you had kind of put together a draft. And so now with her information, it will help you either know that your resume is how it should be, or maybe some changes that you need to make. All right. Any other questions?
Professor Megler, are we going
Yes.
to be able to get like that template from the resume like that she was showing
Yes,
us?
so she's gonna send that all to me and then I will post that all. I will create a resume folder in Blackboard. And as soon as I have all of that posted, I will send out an announcement and let you know that it's there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, any other questions? All right, well, good luck on your research exam. Trust yourself, trust the force, it's all around. All right, if there's no other questions, then you guys can go and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome.